I would say today we had the incredible zuchus to learn Daf Tes in Yevamos, and just a quick chazara. It was a little bit of a complicated Daf, but I just really want to highlight two ikar yisodos. So the first, of course, was actually on the bottom of Chesamud Beis 8b, where the Gemara recorded a machlokus between Rebbe and the Rabbanan. Remember, again, everybody focusing on the idea that the pasuk by Yibum is written in a bit of an elongated form. Instead of saying v'lakach v'yavam or v'yibim, it says v'lakcha v'yib ma. So the shaila, of course, becomes, what do you do with these drashas? So Rebbe holds that halacha l'maisa, the psukim mean as follows. V'lakcha teaches me that yibum could only be performed in a situation where one could marry either of the wives. In other words, assuming the brother who passed away had more than one wife, yibum only takes place if the surviving brother has the ability to marry any of the wives. If, however, he's precluded from marrying any one of the wives, then he is precluded from marrying all of the wives. V'yibma teaches us that halacha l'maisa, b'makom yibum, that it is only b'makom mitzvah that the tzara, the co-wife, is prohibited, but in a non-makom mitzvah, the tzara, the co-wife of an erva, is permitted. A drasha we've had many times. The Rabbanan, on the other hand, have a different drasha. The Rabbanan hold that v'lakcha teaches us that halacha l'maisa, should the yavam do yibum and then decide that he does not want to be married to this woman anymore, he gives her a get. He gives her a get. In other words, one might have thought that halacha l'maisa, the yibum relationship, is something different. Kamashwan, yibum becomes marriage. And just like marriage is only dissolved with a divorce, so too yibum is only dissolved with divorce. Furthermore, again, halacha l'maisa, once he divorces her, as long as she has not married anyone else in the interim, he has the ability to remarry her. That's v'lakcha. The yavma ultimately teaches us that even yibum bal karcha, even if the yavam violated the widow, halacha l'maisa, that still affects yibum. But I will point out that the Rambam accepts the approach, the drashas of the Rabbanan, and therefore halacha l'maisa, if a man does yibum and then the marriage doesn't work out and he wants to dissolve the union, he requires a get, and therefore halacha l'maisa, if after they get divorced and they decide to reconcile, as long as the woman has not yet married anyone else, the yavam has the right to remarry his divorcee, his sister-in-law. And we also do pass, although we'll get into this sugya later, that even if the yavam violated the yavama, the yibum does in fact take effect. So I'll say, so that was one of the major pieces of today's daf. The Gemara then went on to explain what each one does with the other's pasuk. Specifically, again, we went back to discuss how does Rebbe darshan, or what does he darshan from Aleha. So that led to an entire discussion about the halachos concerning inadvertent transgression of Isurei Karis, specifically what happens if one inadvertently goes ahead and practices Avodah Zarah. So I'll say, so the Gemara essentially explained that halacha l'maisa, another piece from the Rambam, which is from the Gemara, that any mitzvah, or I should say any avera, which carries with it a penalty of kares, if transgressed intentionally, will carry with it a chiyuv of chatos, if transgressed unintentionally. So we saw that play out in a number of different cases throughout the daf. But towards the bottom of the daf, the Gemara then went ahead and discussed the idea as follows. First of all, another important halach, another important concept, that the more severe the death penalty, the more relaxed the other restrictions. So we saw, for example, if an individual worships Avodah Zarah, he is killed with skila, which is considered to be the most chamer form of death penalty, but yet, interestingly enough, his property is spared. Yet by the Irani Dachas, the city which worships Avodah Zarah, they are killed with sayif, with a sword, and yet their property is destroyed. The Gemara then went on quoting Levi, right? Levi said to Rebbe, why is that halacha l'maisa? The Mishnah only records 15 cases. There should be 16 cases. To which the Gemara goes through an entire process. But bottom line is, because of the 15 cases, the Gemara only records cases which are not subject to dispute, which are not subject to machlokes. Any additional cases which will be subject to machlokes, ultimately the Mishnah does not include. I will say, we did see the statement of Rabbi Chia, which we learned a little bit quickly today. Rabbi Chia espoused three principles. He said, ha'asur lazeh mutaras lazeh, that ultimately, again, when the sister-in-law is asur to one brother, she's permitted to a different brother, or when she's prohibited to one brother, she's permitted to a different brother. And he said, and a case of where the sister is also the co-wife is a case that leads to chalitza or yibam. We'll discuss that principle. I know we flew through it this morning, but we will discuss it in Yirtzeh Hashem tomorrow. But again, just for the purpose of the sugya, the Gemara seemed to indicate that halacha l'maaseh it is only uncontested cases that are included in the tally of the 15. Anything subject to machlokes is not included in the Mishnah. All right, we'll say shkoyach and a freilich in Purim.